Woo! This eclipse cycle is one of the most intense I have experienced in a very, very long time. Let me know if you're right there with me down below because holy shift is the universe universing. Alrighty, welcome back to your badass weekly horoscope where I go over not only the astrology, but how it is relating to our lives right now energetically and what to do about the shit that's happening, how to actually work with it, okay? Instead of feeling like it's all happening to you and you're a victim of it and it's like just a freaking hot mess. I know I've been a bit inconsistent just very recently because I've had just so much going on, so much changing. Like I am like losing so much freaking weight lately. Like it is insane. And it feels like a good thing. Like I feel like energetically, like there's just so much being flushed out of my system lately and so much is changing within me every single day. And it's been really hard to like find the words for it all just yet. So I've just been kind of taking time and allowing the shifts to occur. But woo, I have been really tapped in and it's been very powerful. So anyways, with that being said, we have a lot happening this week, okay? Mercury's getting into some oppositions this week, we should say. And what that's going to lead to is us needing to confront something in our lives, like us needing to confront the elephant in the room, us needing to confront the very thing that we may have not been wanting to confront. What is going on underneath the surface? What is going on underneath of it all? Is there really a monster under our beds? Do we need to crawl under there and go freaking look and stop giving it power by being scared of it? Okay, it's a great metaphor for this, but this is going to bring up so many things. Mercury is opposite Saturn this week. Not only that, but then the sun will oppose Saturn right before the solar eclipse. And then Mercury will move into Libra and oppose Neptune and make a bunch of trines. There's just so much going on right on the build up to the solar eclipse that you do not want to miss out on. Alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and pull up the chart and get into this bad mama jamma. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and start with Wednesday, September 17th, because that is like the first bigger aspect happening this week, but we're going to be feeling it. We're already feeling it. Okay. So Mercury here will actually be back in Virgo at the time of this, but it's going to start opposing Saturn from Virgo into Pisces. And it's bringing up this kind of opposition that we've already been dealing with and feeling recently that really deals with matter versus energy and emotion. So, Virgo is an earth sign. It deals with matter, okay? And Pisces is a water sign, and it's the last sign of the zodiac ruled by Jupiter. It is how we can, expand to higher planes of feeling and sensation and energy through the inside out. Okay. And so what this is really telling me, and oftentimes what Mercury Saturn can really bring up, I have Saturn squaring Mercury in my chart. But a lot of the times what this can bring up is a lot of delays, confusion, details not all the way making sense to us right away. Okay. And what I really feel the deeper energetic codes behind this, the deeper energetic frequency that we're dealing with now is that we just went through this Pisces lunar eclipse, a little over a week ago, right? And that lunar eclipse basically is still going. Like we're still in that portal, okay? And it really reintroduced us back to our dreams, back to learning how to fucking trust in something bigger than ourselves, how to lean back, okay? How to be in flow, how to let go of the old shit, right? Because here's the thing with Pisces and Virgo, because Virgo is like the gates to the underworld because we're about to move into Libra. So it's like Virgo brings us to the gate of the shadow season. Pisces releases us from the gate of shadow season, okay? Pisces releases us from hell. Virgo takes us into hell. Now, this is all metaphorically speaking, okay? I'm not saying like we're going into hell right now or like, in a literal sense, right? But Virgo is like, what do I need to rearrange and get myself prepared for? That way I can, because there is this kind of deeper energetic code of Virgo, which is about purity, and Pisces. Pisces and Virgo both have to do with purity. This axis can deal with purity at times because Virgo's like, let me find physical ways of washing away what is not needed or what doesn't belong or what doesn't make me better, but it can become obsessive about that. And that's where the over analytical, obsessive organization, nitpicky qualities of Virgo, like the critique, can come in because it can take that overboard. Okay. Whereas Pisces is like, what do I need to release and allow to drain off of me so that I float? What do I need to surrender? Okay. And the best way to kind of describe this, if you're in the spiritual world and you've had a spiritual awakening, all right, you're going to get this. You know that there is this spectrum. Okay. There's like this spectrum that goes from self-preservation and victimhood. And in that reality, in that spectrum, in that frequency, things become very, very dense. It's like you can only see what's right in front of you. You can only see what's going on in matter. You could, like, with your own physical two eyes, you're only worried about like small things like, how am I going to eat? How am I going to survive? Where's my money coming from? What's going on with my job? What's going on with this? What's going on with that person? It's like the survival mentality because you're in self-preservation, right? And that's really all you can like focus on, because it's just like you're so dense. Your frequency has become so dense because you're hanging on to so much. And you're resistant. You're in this resistance because you're in self-preservation mode. You're not open to miracles. You can't think about miracles when you're in survival. It's like, no, we have to survive, right? This is not a place of miracles and, love, light, rainbows, and unicorns. Like you're very in self-preservation mode in that state, right? Practicality, okay? Which can be very Virgo at times, and I'm not saying that that's all of what Virgo is, okay? I'm just saying that is an aspect of Virgo. Now, on the other side of that spectrum is divinity, miracles, like, limitlessness, expansion. And that's why a lot of times people have to go through like rock bottoms where they lose everything that they were clinging to. And they get so into self-preservation and so into survival that they end up losing like everything that they were clinging to before they're willing to be open to openness, before they're willing to be open to like a new existence, a new way of being, a new way of living. And that's why a lot of times, like I always say, rock bottom can be a launch pad, because it's only then when you face those deeper fears, those deeper things that you thought you couldn't survive and you realize you survived them, it's only then that you realize like, holy crap, if I can survive this, I can survive anything. And then you become open to miracles. You become open to life again. And because you're not so in fear anymore, you're not so in resistance anymore, you're not trying to hang on for dear life to things anymore. And so you go from this like, self-preservation, density, survival, to limitlessness, divinity, miracles, like things just start aligning. You start feeling like you're more in flow with life. You start feeling lighter. You start feeling less dense and heavy and restricted. Okay. So, and these are the two polarities right now. Those are two of the polarities that are really being brought up lately. Now, obviously, those are the two extreme sides. There's obviously middle grounds in which we can relate to this, okay? That are more subtle or not as extreme. So the way that I kind of see this is that we went through Leo season, right? We came back to learning how to embody who we are and how to love ourselves for who we are and our authenticity. Then we go through this Pisces lunar eclipse. What's your dream? What's been weighing on you? What's been causing your suffering? What's been causing you to stay in your own perceived hell? Okay, no matter how big or small it was, but, and maybe you didn't perceive it as hell, and that's fine. Maybe it was just perceived as I've been stuck, or I've been limited, or I've been in resistance, or I've been too in my masculine, or I've been too hard, or too closed off, or like feeling limited or stuck in some way. And Pisces is like releasing that, which has been causing us to participate in this spiral of suffering, in this spiral of, our own victimhood or our own, patterns that aren't getting us anywhere. And it's kind of opened the floodgates. So all of that can be released. Okay. And so there's still things coming up with that, right? Like I said, the Pisces lunar eclipse is still in effect right now. So the way that I kind of see this is that we and with Saturn involved here, there's something that we've been trying to accomplish or to do for a while. Maybe the last few years, maybe the last several years, okay? I had this like notification. Let me start here to explain this. I had this notification on the pattern the other day because I have Saturn in my chart at 0 degrees Aquarius squaring my Sun at the very end of Libra and my Mars at 0 degrees Scorpio and my Mercury at like 4 degrees Scorpio. And so I have a lot of Saturn, okay? Fucking my shit up a lot of the time. But it also, there's gifts to it. It's not just a curse, right? Like, you know, we know this. But the Pattern app, the Pattern Astrology app, which is a really great astrology app, one of my favorites, it sent me this like notification the other day where it was like, you have a Saturn complex. And I guess it's like a new thing that it added. And so I went through and I started like listening to the recordings, and it was like, yeah, like you have Saturn squaring your Sun and Mars and Mercury. And so therefore you have this Saturn complex. And she gave this example on there of basically it's like I think it was like what's it called? Mythology. There's like this myth of like a man being cursed to push a boulder up a hill constantly. And every time like the boulder rolls down and he has to start over again. And she's like, you likely feel like that. You likely have experienced something like that in your life if you have very strong, you know, rough Saturn placements. And I was like, yes, it feels like I am always like, whatever dream I go after, whatever goal I go after, whatever I get very, very determined about, and I go after it, it's like it takes me so much longer, or it's way more work, or I have to do it many, many times, you know, to even get it, you know, if I even get it. So it does give me a very strong determination at times, but it also kind of breaks me like at the same time, because I'm always having to push that boulder up the hill just for it to fall back down and start over again. There's a lot of starting over. And so anyway, so that's where this kind of train of thought of mine started. And as I was listening to that, I kind of had my own code drop in of like, you know, if this is how your life is going to be, you know, and those of you may relate to what I'm saying right now, you don't have to have like a super hard Saturn aspect. But, and it could just be the way Saturn in the sky transiting has been hitting your chart like recently, or like whatever. Either way, we're feeling some of this right now. And that's why I'm bringing it up. But I think that like I had this code kind of drop in, and it was like, you know, if you're going to have to push a boulder up the fucking hill over and over and over again, you might as well make sure that whatever that goal is that you're pushing the boulder up the hill for, whatever that dream is, whatever that fucking hill is, you better make sure that it's something that you at least really fucking desire. Like, you better make sure that it's something you really freaking want, okay? And that's kind of how I looked at it. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, if it's kind of like whatever dream journey you're going to pick, whatever dream that you're going after, don't just pick it because of the end result. Pick it because it's also going to be the funnest to go down that journey. Pick it because of the journey itself. Pick it because you're actually going to have fun going after the thing. It's going to be an adventure in itself, that it's not just about the end result, because it never freaking was. It's not about the end result. It's about the journey and who you become on the way to the result, okay? Because oftentimes you may get the result and then it's not what you expected, or the glory or the satisfaction from it doesn't last very long. And then it starts feeling like lack, and then you start getting bored with it, or you move on to the next thing, right? So don't do it just for the result. Do it for the journey itself, because that journey is going to be something that excites you, that it's going to grow you, expand you as a person, help you understand more of who you are, introduce you to the truest parts of your being. Like, that's why you pick the fucking journey. Okay, so the way that I see this, like Mercury and Virgo opposite Saturn, is that we've been trying to push a boulder up the hill, or we've been doing a lot of thinking and contemplating, especially with that lunar eclipse in Pisces that we just had come back in and remind us of like, hey, are you living in a limitless way? Are you living up to your potential? Are you going after your dreams? Are you trusting in your desires? Are you trusting in your expansion? Are you expanding in your lives? And so I think that it's like, okay, if we're going to push this boulder up the hill, why are we doing it? Are we doing it to like prove something to someone? Are we doing it because we feel like, you know, we need that end result? If we're not up on top of that hill, then we're not good enough. Like, you know, these are the intentions behind why you're doing something that need to be worked out first. But even more than that, it's that this transit, I really, really feel, is kind of like showing us the limiting beliefs, the limitations, the quote unquote blocks, whatever you want to call it, the resistances that are holding us back from truly being aligned. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing butterflies everywhere. One just flew by my window. Like, I don't know if it's butterfly season or what, but I am seeing all kinds of butterflies like every single day, multiple times a day. Anyway, but it's like, what is holding us back? What is holding us back? Like, this week is about getting very fucking clear on what is limiting us. And what of that is in our control, or what of that is in our control and also not even true. And maybe it's been an illusion. Maybe it's not even been real, but also what of that is outside of our control, because many people will experience this in many different ways. People will have things that come up that it's like outside of their control, like they're powerless over it. And you can either fall into victimhood and just say, oh, well, I guess I can't do that. Or I can't do X because of Y, or because of this person or that institution or whatever. And they'll just kind of like give up, right? But this is like a moment of really testing our faith, pretty much. And the way that I think it's going to do that is it's going to be like matter versus energy. Like, I've been hearing and kind of seeing this all like over the last couple of days, like that your energy controls matter. Okay. So when we live and we're so focused on matter and the earth and what we can see right in front of us, again, that self-preservation mode, that's like one level of living. Okay. But when we move up higher and our perspective, you know, kind of evolves and expands, we're like, oh, okay, there's actually a lot more going on here. You know what I mean? We can see things from a whole different perspective, and we can realize that like, oh, actually, I'm the one that controls my reality. Like, I'm the one that I'm in charge of my energy. Where is my energy going? If I'm just super honed in on the matter and why the matter isn't changing and why the matter isn't doing what I need the matter to do, then I've got it wrong. And I actually heard the other day, I can't remember where I heard this, but I heard someone describe or say, they were like, that's like God basically honing in on a human and saying, why aren't you doing what I want you to do? You know, like, and it's like, that's kind of like what we're doing though. It's like, oh, like, you know, I need the matter to do this and I need the matter to do that. And it's like, well, what are you doing? Are you embodying that? And let's say you have been embodying that. Then this is like the glitch in the matrix. Like, Mercury opposed Saturn is like the glitch in the matrix. That's like testing how much you can hold the energy when the matter and when the evidence in front of you is showing you something opposite, right? It's like, and that's really what I think this is. I really feel like this is going to be like, there's going to be some kind of maybe news, information, you know, something that happens or something that physically happens in your reality. And you're like, oh, wait a second, that's not what I was manifesting, or that is really testing me. Like, can I still believe? I don't know if I can believe while this is happening, right? And it's like, yeah, like, this is where, like, you've got to stay in the energy of the breakthrough. You've got to stay in the energy of whatever breakthrough you've been having, and trust even when your reality is not meeting you just yet, because the 3D is the slowest to catch up to whatever it is that you're embodying in, right? So it's like a glitch in the matrix, okay? And so if you can hold that gap, if you can hold that void, that those moments of it not making sense, those moments of reality not meeting you in the way that you're embodying in that moment, if you can hold that, then everything kind of starts to move around eventually, as long as you still believe and as long as you still trust. It's like you're climbing up a mountain, and Virgo is like the tools that you're going to need to climb up that mountain, the little actual physical things that happen along the way, the weather, the ditches that you almost fall into, the cliffs that you have to kind of like jump across, or you stub your toe on like a rock, or like, you have all these things that keep happening. And it's like, oh my gosh, I cannot deal with like another setback or another delay or another thing going wrong here. And it's like, okay, well, again, like how bad do you want this? Like, and do you trust yourself? Do you have belief that you're going to be on top of that mountain? And so I think that whatever is coming up this week, it's like, this is your task. This is your opportunity to hold the next level and to get to the next level, to evolve to the next level. But it's like, can you receive it? Can you get clear on it? Can you get clear about what's blocking you, what's holding you back, what's limiting you, what resistance you have, where you're not allowing yourself to trust, where you're not allowing yourself to receive? And so this is like bridging the gap between matter and energy this week, and showing us what, again, we have control over and what we don't, what we need to leave up to our faith, and what we can focus on ourselves and our day-to-day realities. What we need to surrender, what we need to release, what we need to let go of, the limiting beliefs holding us back in our day-to-day lives, where we get caught in like negative thinking spirals, where we get caught in, limiting beliefs, critiquing ourselves, feeling unworthy or not good enough or undeserving. Like, what are these things that come up this week mirroring back within us? Because that's a very easy way to see what you're embodied in. And I think there's, a lot of things that have happened recently that are very like mirrors to show us what we're embodied in. And I think that this week, it's like, can we face the harder the harder things? Can we face, again, the elephant in the room, the thing that maybe we've been avoiding, the thing that we've been running from? And, we may have little, puzzle pieces, like little kind of hints towards what it is with this Mercury-Saturn opposition, but then we're really going to see it by like this weekend when the sun starts opposing Saturn. That's when we're going to see it. It's going to be very, very clear by this weekend what we've got to let go of, what we need to face, what's going on, what limiting beliefs are holding us back, what, where we need to hold the energy, where we need to trust, where we need to have faith, even when it doesn't all make sense. What we want to be embodied in. And so that's like a huge, huge part of this week. Now, moving on from that, the next thing that we're going to talk about is on September 18th, which is Thursday, Mercury then is going to move into Libra, and then it's going to immediately oppose Neptune and create this crazy kite between Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. And so it's like, it's slinging back an arrow. And like the way that I kind of see this is, when Mercury goes into Libra, I kind of see this as like, oh, wait, we're seeing the other side. So whatever that, like those mental blockages, those, everything that I just described with Mercury opposite Saturn, although we could see a lot of that when the sun opposes Saturn later in the week, and just themes of Saturn oppositions all week. We could see all of that all week. But I think Mercury going into Libra is really helping us see another side, because Libra is always about like, hey, hold on, there's another side of the coin that you're not seeing. Hey, hold on, there's a whole other perspective here that you can try on. Again, if Virgo is like the gate, it brings us to the gate of the shadow. Libra is the gate of the shadow. So Libra is the introduction into, hold on, there's a whole other side of looking at this. This is where the sun goes into fall when Libra season begins, which starts next week, because the sun loses half of its light, because the sun is now becoming aware of another half of itself. The sun is now becoming aware of its other side. And so when Mercury goes into Libra, being the messenger, It's like, oh, wait, there is a whole other side of the coin here. We open up to other sides. We open up to new thoughts. We open up to new ideas. We see the other side of what we've been thinking. And I think that also with, Mercury opposing Neptune, it's like there's this energy of like collaboration rather than needing to do it alone. It's like actually you become better. You are able to have the vision of yourself that you desire, but you don't have to get there alone. You don't have to compete, you can collaborate. And that's really how I see this working out. Because Mercury is going to create that air trine between Pluto and Uranus once it moves into Libra, which helps us to really kind of break ourselves out of whatever maybe thinking patterns, habits, ways of perceiving things that has not been in alignment with where we want to go, or that has been holding us back in some area in our lives. Okay? So that's Thursday. Now, the next thing that I really want to talk about here is Friday, September 19th. Venus moves into the sign of Virgo from Leo. And this is definitely going to be a shift where we really start grounding in that Virgo energy even more. What's going to be interesting, though, is that Mercury will be in Venus's sign and Venus will be in Mercury's sign. So they will be mutually receptive here. So they're kind of like in each other's signs, which means they're kind of like working with each other behind the scenes a little bit. So it's like it's like if we just release a lot of this physical shit, whether it's physical or mental, it's like if we can release these like over analytical patterns that are keeping us in loops, are keeping us stuck. If we can embrace the truest form of who we are, if we can use our skills, our hobbies, our talents to, in a more aligned way, that is how we move forward here. Venus and Virgo, I have Venus and Virgo, so I know what this is like. I know, Venus does not like to be in Virgo. She's actually in fallen Virgo. So, Venus here, it doesn't mean that it's all bad or anything. It's just that I think, and it's like, we can do two different things with this. It's like we can either allow ourselves to find pleasure or more pleasure and simplicity and the simple things, or we can pretty much find everything that's wrong and it never being perfect, it never being good enough. And there's like a lot of imperfection and perfectionism that comes in with Venus and Virgo. It just comes in ways of beauty, aesthetics, clothes, relationships, gifts, food, anything Venusian. And I see it very, very much. I see my Venus and Virgo very, very much. We can become overly critical of anything beauty or pleasure related, and anything that's supposed to feel good and make us feel good, like anything Venusian. It's like, where have we started picking those things apart? And where's that coming from, And can we allow ourselves to find simplicity? Can we allow ourselves to get more crafty with our creativity? This is a very great way to use Venus and Virgo. Virgo is like very, very crafty. So it's like, okay, can we allow ourselves to shift how we're doing things, rearrange how we're doing things so that we can do them more efficiently, so that we can get clear on our creative endeavors, our creative projects, so that we can rearrange things so that they feel lighter, they feel, more satisfactory, right? And so this is where Venus and Virgo can really thrive, but we want to make sure that we're not taking that over the top where we're becoming obsessive about small things, and then that kind of just ruins the moment. And but we're also, another thing with Venus and Virgo is also admitting, and this can be kind of something too, like admitting where you're not satisfied. And this is something I struggled with for like a long time, because I know that my Venus and Virgo can make me feel or make me seem very picky or critical at times about things. But also I feel that if I hold it in, and I'm just like not doing anything with it, and I'm just like holding it in and holding it back, like that's not really healthy or helpful either. And I'm just like acting like I enjoy something to not like, cause conflict, and that's not really helpful either. So it's like, it's not about holding it in. But it's about if you're noticing yourself becoming very critical, or you're noticing yourself becoming very critical of yourself, your self-worth, your appearance, your body, it's like find the truth in it, but also find like, okay, is this coming from a deeper problem? Like, am I just like really not doing very good right now with my self-love journey? Is there some kind of like hidden, emotional shit that's going on that I need to feel and release, like, and how can I alchemize this to use this in my favor? Okay, so that's Venus and Virgo. So then on Saturday is when the sun will oppose Saturn right before it goes into the eclipse on Sunday. So, right, I mean, you can see like this is Saturday, the moon's already building. So, and coming up on the sun. So this is so interesting, right? Like first we have Mercury actually first we had Mars opposing Saturn a couple weeks ago before it went into Libra. And then we have Mercury opposing Saturn before it moves into Libra. Or wait, Mars might have actually opposed Saturn when it was still in Aries. So scratch that. Mars did not oppose Saturn in Pisces. It opposed it. I'm pretty sure it was in Aries still. So anyways, but the sun, well, first Mercury opposed Saturn. Then the sun is now opposing Saturn right before it moves into Libra. And then it goes into a solar eclipse right at the end of that opposition with Saturn. And so it's almost like lights out. It's like what I really think that this is like we are coming up again on some kind of like resistance, limiting of belief, test of faith. Whatever Saturn and Pisces has come back to Pisces for, to get us to realize, to get us to embody, to get us to embrace. It's like, no, you're not going to get lost in the details and just like overthink this. Like, it's like, what do you need to feel? What do you need to face? What do you need to like truly freaking embrace, And I really feel like the sun going into a solar eclipse opposite of this, of Saturn retrograde back in Pisces is like, I almost see this as like a blink, right? Because that's kind of what a solar eclipse is. The sun meets the moon meets the sun, and it goes dark. It like shuts its eye and for a minute, right? Before the moon passes the sun, and then, all of that. So, and doing this opposite of Saturn near the south node, it's a south node solar eclipse, really kind of tells me that this is like a massive reset. This is like a massive, like, go within. Like you're not gonna come at Saturn. Like I kind of feel Saturn and Pisces is like, look, sun in Virgo, look, moon in Virgo. You're not gonna come at me with some like rational over analytical, like critiquing, bullshit. Like if you're gonna face me, do it right, And it's almost like the sun and the moon are coming together, facing Saturn to integrate something, to integrate Saturn's lessons, to integrate Saturn's teachings and Pisces, to accept it, to not fight it, but accept it, especially with this, the sun being kind of going dark. It's like whatever Saturn is almost like pushing the sun through this like rebirth. Okay. It's almost like a reset, a rebirth, like a resurrection is happening here, like a letting go of many, many different karmic cycles and things from the past, and then like a reset of something new. And on top of that, the ruler of this eclipse being Mercury and Libra about, balance and harmonizing and bringing things together and bringing two polar opposite sides together. I really think that this has to do with that. It's like, how can we harmonize both of these things? How can we bring the energetic, the spiritual, the mystical into matter? How can we remember that we are the creator of that we demand matter, okay? That we are, it's almost like the sun in Virgo, as it's moving into its shadow side, is kind of like forgetting itself because it's about to move into Libra and kind of let go of half of its light. It's waning in energy. And so right as it's about to move into shadow season, it opposes Saturn and Pisces, and Saturn and Pisces is like, don't forget, you are but the whole ocean in a drop. You have the whole universe inside of you. But at the same time, it kind of also feels like a forgetting. It feels like an unraveling because the South Node is there. So it's almost like it feels like there are things being, very karmic things being kind of released. Like the way that I keep, like the vision that keeps coming up to my head and in my mind is like roots, like vines, that have been kind of tangled around us or tangled around something, or finally it's like they're releasing. They're kind of releasing, they're moving away. So anyways, it's going to be really interesting. I'll be doing a separate video on this solar eclipse in the next couple of days, so be on the lookout for that. These are my thoughts on it so far, and just what I kind of feel intuitively looking at this, and it's going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, I think that this is like coming back to what we do have control over and releasing what we can't, rather than making sense of the things that we're powerless over, or the things that we don't have control over. I think that this is like us being pushed to our edge, us being pushed to our limitations, us being pushed to the illusions and the limiting beliefs and the untrue stories that maybe we've told ourselves that have been keeping us stuck either in a habit or in an environment or in a certain place, or doing the same things over and over, in our lives with that Virgo energy. And so it's like we're rearranging something to make room for something more pure, more true, more centered in alignment, more centered in some kind of true belief, rather than centered in some kind of false reality. And so that is what I am seeing for this lunar eclipse, or not lunar eclipse, solar eclipse in Virgo. Let me know down below what you guys think of this, and if this related to you guys, comment down below. Sexy alien, because you are. I appreciate you, fam, and thank you guys so much for watching. Also, I am doing a really, really amazing sale right now. Readings are on sale for $111. So if that's something that you're interested in, for whatever your little heart desires, go ahead and book down below. They won't be this way much longer. Only a week left of this sale, so go ahead and take advantage of it with the link down below if you are feeling pulled, or you're feeling like you need some guidance, or you're feeling like you need something, going on. Definitely feel free to book, and I love you guys. I will see you guys in the near future.